This is Dipesh Tuladhar. I've been teaching branding for some time, and I also practice branding because we have a retail outlet, and I've been focusing on brand for the last 8 years. So I'm very glad to be amongst you all. So who else is online? Or ko हुनुहुन्छ होला?
नमस्कार म किरण बमनी बोलेको
Kiran. Okay. सुनिन्छ, please go ahead, Mr. Kiran. हजुर किरण जी.
इकोनोमिक सोल्युसनबाट म किरण बमनी.
Okay. So Kiran ji, Rajan ji, it's good to be acquainted to you, and we've got two people here right in front of me. Please. Was it?
We are from the team Agri Nepal.
Agri Nepal, okay.
I'm Rajiv.
Right. Biplav. Rajiv, Biplav, Kiran, and Rajan. Okay, nice. So what is your focus in terms of agricultural? What are you guys up to right now?
We have magazines, and
Right.
also we provide consulting for the farmers as well. Besides that, our company also has agri centers from where the farmers can get agricultural goods, and also they can get in touch with the farmers and other agri-vendors as well.
Okay, just to start off, have all of you read the case? I really need to know this. That's going to change the whole direction of how this discussion is going to go. But if you've read that case and you've actually tried to answer those questions, then I'll decide how this session could be conducted. So starting with, you've not read that case. You've not read the case. Rajan ji, have you read the case?
Yeah.
Rajan ji, Santosh ji, have you read the case? तपाईले डकुमेन्ट पठाउनु भएको तपाईले हेर्नु भयो?
The one that यो के भन्छ कफीको
हजुर
something
हजुर.
related to coffee.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't gone through all the texts, but yeah, I just went quickly.
Okay. Santosh ji, have you gone through the documents?
I've got few review, not read everything.
No, the last time that I provided the document, the branding folder that I have circulated to everyone. Have you gone through that?
Yeah, I've gone for the video of the branding one.
Okay, so he hasn't gone through.
Okay. So then that changes the whole, I think your session code, there are no two, we cannot have two sessions anymore. So it'll be mostly on the brand presentation. Okay? So I think if you guys ever get that chance, because I was told this is more about agricultural products. So in spite of that, I think I will just on my own take up what the case is all about, right? And I'll try to show you how a product like coffee could be branded and and then you have an edge over all other competitors out there in the market. Now what you have to understand is it's like when you go to the market, say 15-20 years back, the fact that you could actually sell water was a novel concept. No one could have imagined or dreamt that you could actually sell water, bottled water, and charge a premium. But now it's a reality of our world today, right? Same thing, coffee is similar. And now packaging that and then branding yourself like a country, saying this coffee is special because this is made in Colombia. End of the day, coffee is coffee, whether it comes from Colombia, it comes from Nepal. But then Colombia was able to create that edge or build that name, which no one else could overtake. So I think that is the essence of branding in a very short gist. So since this whole session or this whole thing is geared towards agriculture, maybe you should have that in mind. All right. Then maybe I'll just go on to the presentation. Those online can see your slides, Aru. Okay. Now, this is going to be more of an interactive session. I don't really want to be talking too much on what brand is all. Just looking at those pictures, could you name what those brands are? Like, what would be number one? Anyone, just jump in. McDonald's. Number two? Okay. What does Warner Brothers do? Was it? Studio, right. Number three is KFC. Number four is Windows, Microsoft. I mean, I guess all of us here are able to instantly recognize what these brands are. Now, my question is, just looking at those images, or the colors, or the designs, you're able to say what that company is all about. Right now, you're telling me what number one is McDonald's. But what if I was asked, what does McDonald's do? What would you say? See, this is it. With just that one name, the color, and the sign, and the color, you already know what that company does. In a sense, that one logo, one identification is actually portraying or telling you what we all do, is what the whole company is all about. Similarly, so what is brand? What is brand? Is it just recognition?
It's also the identity of the company as well.
Identity of the company. How would you say that? As in?
Because it defines, the brand also defines what the company stands for.
Really? Okay, then let me go to, there's not a good product here. What about Unilever? They don't just do one thing, they're like into so many things. Does that still define a company? It's not just about the product they sell, right? It's something more intrinsic or something more deep than that. So I think that is, I don't know. I think first of all, what we have to realize is like what Peter Drucker says, you cannot manage anything that you cannot measure. So in terms of branding host or in terms of product host, unless you know कि your brand is being recognized or there's a certain recognition or certain positive positive feeling towards that brand isn't developed, you don't know if your brand, whatever branding strategy you've done, is good or not. Moving again, Donald Trump was not put there because he was the president. This presentation was done I prepared this in 2015, but then I really liked what he says. What he says is, if your business is not a brand, it is a commodity. Now, I would like to, those online who connect to us through Skype, could you maybe think what he says basically is, if your business is not a brand, it is a commodity. What do you think a commodity is then? Santoshi, Rajanji?
Yeah, commodity are something that can be consumed,
Okay, like?
consumable.
But how would that differentiate from a brand then? What would be a
Something that creates values.
that creates values? That's a commodity. Kiranji, what do you think is a commodity?
That's something having some value.
Some value.
That may be the monetary value, social value, or anything.
Some kind of example to maybe say this is a commodity then? Tamerko Pichano, what is a commodity in terms of, what do you understand? Kune product that we use? Hazur?
Like mobile.
So we've got an example. I didn't get your name. Biplav. And Hazur? Rajiv. So what Biplav ji is saying is, flour in its essence is a commodity, but once it's packed and has a name to it, it's a brand. Santoshi, Kiranji, would you agree to that?
That's the both commodity.
That is commodity.
Yeah.
So tell me one thing, all those तपाईहरु जुन agriculture मा हुनुहुन्छ, you guys are doing something in terms of agriculture, is your product a commodity or is it a brand? Whatever तपाईहरुले trying to leverage in the market, is that a commodity or is it a brand?
Initially, it's a brand, and we are trying to make it as a brand.
So what are you doing right now that is a commodity? What is it तपाईहरुले गरेर that is a commodity?
We are making the database of the farmers, and we are trying to give them recommendation and suggestion through our software.
Okay. So what you are doing in terms of gathering your data and trying to synthesize and come up with analysis, you're thinking that is a commodity.
Yeah.
But even then what in terms of branding, what are you trying to do then? What is your understanding of branding? What do you guys want to do? Any idea what you guys want to do?
First of all, we are trying to make our software as good, helpful for the farmers, and it will be develop itself as a brand for all the farmers who need that.
Okay, let me just take a step back and try to explain what a commodity is at the first. So a commodity, as you know, dictionary definition is used to describe a class of goods for which there is a demand, but is supplied without qualitative differentiation. Oh shit. Please hold on. Okay. So a commodity is used to describe a class of good for which there is a demand but is supplied without qualitative differentiation. Now, any examples in तपाईँहरुको daily life that you can think is a commodity? जस्तै कि, yeah, Biplabji said atta. Similarly, the other example I would like to take up is petrol. Petrol or diesel. Now, why I think it's a very good example is, suppose you go to a tank station, you fill up your gadi, your car, your scooter, your motorcycle, whatever you do. You don't know if where that petrol has been sourced from. Is it from the US, or is it from the Middle East? Is it from Africa? You have no idea. But then, once it reaches the tank, it's gone. There is no qualitative difference. If that is the thing, what is the only criteria in which a commodity is sold the world over? What would be the basis on which a commodity product is sold? If someone buys petrol, what would be the only underlying factor that will tell you, okay, I want to buy petrol from this pump or from that pump? Or you don't know where it's sourced from, right? Take for example, you told me the flour, the atta. So, if you don't have a brand, what will be your only criteria to go and purchase that flour? There are 3-4 shops in the market. Which shop would you go to buy your atta from?
The one I know.
No, but see, one thing I'm assuming is that all the 3 shops are selling the same commodity, because like in the case of the petrol, we don't know where it's been sourced from, but it's there of the same quality, but it's been sold in the 3 shops. What would be your criteria to go and buy that flour, atta? Could be one, but more importantly, what if what if all the 3 shops are like next to each other? And price is the only criteria, okay? Commodity ma, the price is the only criteria in which a commodity product is sold. It all depends on, in the case of petrol, it's all the case of how much is there supplied in the market and what kind of demand is there. Which is why if you look at the prices of the petrol in the market right now, because they've got a lot of supply in the market right now, the prices has gone down. I mean, I was told that you guys do, I mean, you've got like a bachelor's background. So, the marker. Okay. Or maybe I can just use the one here. Okay. Have you guys done this demand and supply curve? So basically this is your supply, this is the supply, and this is the demand. So the only thing that will supply and demand the only thing that happens just like petrol prices the only reason why prices will come down is because when there's a lot of supply in the market. Okay, this is the price, this is the quantity being supplied. In the current global scenario, what's happening right now is that the supply of petrol was जुन पहिला यो पोइन्टमा थियो, this is equilibrium E1 मा सुरु भएको थियो, has now moved to E2, which basically says quantity was being supplied at Q1 before, अहिले चाहिँ नि the quantity has increased to Q2. So look at the graph right now. What happens is your price, this is 0 and this is higher prices. So earlier it was being supplied at price P1. Because the supply of petrol increased, this supply curve moved ahead. So the new equilibrium E2 was reached. त्यो हुने बित्तिकै के भयो त तपाईको prices will come here P2. Now if you look here, Q1 is greater than Q2, र similarly P2, price P2 is lower than P1. Can you see that? Price drop भयो because there was excess of supply. But the reason I'm stressing a little more तपाईहरुको लागि supply and demand and agriculture product and commodity is because the product you guys are doing is a commodity. Unless there is a branding, there is a packaging on the farmer's end, or in terms of तपाईँहरुको company, look, I really don't know तपाईँहरुको in terms of your company, how you're going to package that data. But the end product that you're actually selling is still again farmers ko agricultural product. And you're trying to source the best data so that they can get the highest prices. They can get the best deal. Unarko livelihood अथवा unarko income बढाउनलाई you guys are trying that. Is my understanding? Would I be correct in assuming this? Biplab, Rajiv, would I be correct in assuming what I'm saying? That end of the day, whatever data you guys are using or the company you're trying to set up is so that the farmers get the best price possible. Would I be correct in assuming that? Those online, Santosh ji, ani Kiran ji, would I be correct in assuming that तपाईहरुले end of the day, since you guys are dealing with agricultural products or a commodity, as I understand it, तपाईहरुको खासै
we are dealing are not tangible one.
is not a tangible one.
And how can we make it sub-brand?
No, that is the question that I really don't have an answer to. Because first of all, I really don't know in detail about what you guys are packaging or what you guys are selling. Now, but my question is, what I'm trying to understand is, all of you are working with farmers, right? You guys are all selling. Let me just give a very simple example. Maybe all of you are dealing with farmers who make broccolis. I'm assuming that all the companies here, all the participants here are trying to sell some farmer in Nepal, remote part of Nepal, go broccoli. You're trying to make sure that he gets the highest deal, highest productivity, and he's able to get the best price in the market. Would I be correct in assuming this? Those online, would I be correct in assuming that?
We are not for the production of the broccoli like that, but we are for the farmers to produce that.
Yeah, exactly.
We are supporting the farmers
Yeah.
to improve their practice.
Yeah, I understand that. So my point is, end of the day, you're gonna what you're selling to the market again is a commodity. The broccoli that the farmer produces, data chalaera, the best information you're going to pass on to the farmers. You're assuming they're going to use that data so that they can produce the highest yield, get the best prices, so that they are embedded to you. Would I be correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So my point is again, end of the day, the product that you're actually selling to the market, you guys are intermediary. You're trying to source the information, create a information asymmetry, so that the farmers, they can get the best price in the market. End of the day, the bottom line still is that you graph, this supply and demand graph, that stands true for you as well. So suppose the whole point is, with all your information, what you have to realize is, with all your information you're going to pass to your consumers, who are your farmers, it's a very dicey thing. Okay? Because the moment you increase the supply, let's just take example of broccoli. If tomorrow the supply of broccoli increases from S1 to S2, what are you looking at? A drop in prices. A drop in prices. So in spite of you saying that yes, you want to help the farmers and all this, what if tomorrow the supply of broccoli increases in the market? That is going to bring your prices down. And all your good intentions of making sure that the farmers get the best prices or that they are able to have a good livelihood is not going to be met with this graph. Which is why that case was important for me to... Yeah, you have a question?
No.
Okay. So my point is, I'll give you a very good example. Maybe some of you can even research on this even further, so that look, I'll draw another graph. Demand and supply go. I know. Yeah, okay. the यसको the other example I can give you wherein a brand actually helps to counter this situation is the famous example of this brand. Okay? This brand. I want to put it very clearly to those who's watching online. देखिन्छ यो? Okay. It's okay. It's just Apple one. Yeah, take it. Okay. So the Apple brand, iPhone Linux, iPhone Linux. Look at the data. The data shows that quantity supply, त्यो certain segment of the market, जुन iPhone को segment हो, if you look at the segment that iPhone caters to, they outsell Samsung 1:2, 1:3, volume wise. I'm not saying all the lower end of the market, the high end of the market. Apple outsells Samsung by 1:2, 1:3. Now, if that was true, look what will happen. If if the quantity they were selling, if this is the thing, if they were selling quantity to Q1 at price P1, now the moment Apple ko quantity increases to Q2, what should happen? In a standard demand and supply mode, the P2 would have come down actually. P2 would have been less than P1 because Q1 is more than Q2. In a standard market scenario, this would have been the case. But the brand ko jun awareness, the brand ko jun the kind of loyalty that Apple commands, what happens is, in spite of Q2, data shows that 95% of the profit, jun 95% of that segment, Apple phone segment ko sales, 95% of the profit is with Apple, and their prices are exorbitantly higher than Samsung's. So in spite of selling more than Samsung, their prices are much higher. Yeah? Is that clear to you guys? I mean, because you guys are like tech ma, is that making sense to you? Because it's a simple commodity. What happens is, if it's just a phone, there's no logo, there's nothing, then your fair market zone principles would have held. Then in that case, with an increase of quantity from Q1 to Q2, the prices would have dropped to P2, lower. But in the case of Apple iPhones, the prices of P2 is actually higher. And the only way they do it is because the brand, the name of that Apple is much more stronger than Samsung. You've got that amazing feeling. Okay? Apple, there's a certain class that I'm not saying you guys probably believe it or you feel that, but generally, majority of the people in the market feel, yes, Apple is like up there. It's like, they somehow have coolness is associated with Apple. Okay? And that is the whole trick behind branding, okay? in essence. Now, so what you have to very seriously realize is, you guys are end of the day selling a commodity. Now, what is commoditization? Yes, ma open the pointer. Yeah. Okay. So commodity. What is commoditization? Commoditization occurs when there is no real differentiation in goods or service provided, often caused by diffusion of intellectual property necessary to acquire the product or to produce it efficiently. A classic case in example is petrol. There is not much differentiation in terms of कसरी बनाउने. Everybody in the world knows how to process petrol. So even Nigeria is doing it, even the US is doing it, even Canada is doing it, even the Middle East is doing it. There is no much differentiation. So the only thing that comes down to is price war. And who in your opinion stands to win the price war? If there is a price war in terms of commodity, make a wild guess. Which business stands the कुन चाहिँ business टिक्छ होला? Who is able to withstand the pressures of all these price wars? No, not in terms of quantity. Yes, commodity ma the only winners are those who produce a higher quantity. Okay? Volume is the only game. Okay? Commodity ma volume is the only game. There is no other game. Those who can produce in volume will win. Okay? That's why you have to be very careful. Now, do you want to go into volume, or do you want to stick to it? Or do you want to do what Apple does? Okay? In spite of selling higher volume, they are able to command a higher premium, okay? Because based on their brand name, okay? And that is the whole game that's happening in the market right now. Oileko sangsarma, the whole game comes down to branding, because the idea is if you start a price war, you're not able to go and survive in the market for too long. Everybody can compete. I'll give you Nepal's context. What's the example? You start competing in, say, atta flour ma. I know you import all your flour from, say, India. Now, being Nepal and India being an open and porous border, you start doing efficiently or proper business by importing everything through tax, through proper channels. What happens is your price is very high. But there are a lot of other businesses, shadier businesses, who will just import these saman through the porous border without paying a single penny in terms of tax. So, when that happens, all the tax and all that money you've paid, in terms of tax, you will not be able to compete in the market. So what happens? You're automatically pushed out of the market. So unless you're able to brand even your broccoli, cauliflower, or whatever, potatoes even, if you're able to brand that and make sure that people see that potato and say, okay, this costs, I know this, there's a certain feeling, this is good quality, I'm willing to pay that extra money. And people, once they get used to that extra, that premium or that quality, then your business is set. So this is something you need to look into, right? Now, the question I've put up is, what is a brand? Is it just a distinguishing mark, a feature, a logo, name, tagline, the color, or the product? I would like you guys to jump in. What do you guys think? And those online as well. Tapaiko bicharma, what is a brand? Is it just a distinguishing mark, feature like the slides we saw before? Is it just this? Is this all that there is to a brand? Is it just a logo, a name, or tagline? Is it just the color? Or is it the product itself? Assurance. Wow. Right, but what do you mean now? What is your assurance and?
If everybody is providing the same commodity, brand should assure it's the best they could have.
It's the best they could have. How do they do that? That's a brand.
Through consistency. They should be consistent on the commodity that they provide.
Okay, I just got busy with the phone. Yeah, please go ahead. Phir Manov actually. So Indian understand what is a brand, Manova?
Brand is assurance and consistency.
Assurance and consistency. I love the way you've just summarized it. It's very correct. I've not seen it in that, but yeah, could you explain more for those and everyone else to actually understand?
If everyone else is providing the same commodity, a brand should provide the best that is in the market, and that they should provide the best within in the same consistency throughout the whole period.
Okay, whenever, as long as they exist, they should be consistent with their quality. And assurance, and how do you want to talk about the assurance? You said consistency and assurance, right? Yeah.
If I'm selling the same, if I'm consistently correct on the market about the quality of the brand, or commodity that I'm providing, it would be better for the brand itself.
Then why do companies come up with all the hassles of creating all these logos then? If it was just about providing the product consistently and assuring them that this is quality, then what is the whole idea of, that the price of this logo is like billions of dollars?
They have to stand out on what they are. They have to show them that they are actually a brand.
I don't think I got that too well. Cost the one, not the very.
Brand चिन्हलाई अलिकति simplistic तर देखिने चाहिँ चाहे.
So to understand what a company and a product is all about, they have these logos.
They have developed this brand. They had these logos when they began to store the commodity, but they were not a brand itself at the beginning.
Ah, very interesting. So they were not a brand when they started off. They became a brand when?
When they provided consistent
consistently they give quality product and assure them over the long run. I think that is a very concise and actually good definition of what a brand is. And besides name, logo, or shape, just like the shape of Coke is actually a brand itself. They've trademarked that shape. Jingle, tune, sound. Any idea or any recollection of what I'm talking about? Tung 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 tung. What does that remind you of? How's it? So Nokia's got a very unique tune as well. I know. Any other just like sound? No, that is still there's a sound bite. There's more words to it. I'm talking more like sound. Tung 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 tung. Also, saying there's this watch company Ajanta. They've got this very unique sound. Okay? When you hear that sound, you know it's already know it's Ajanta watch. Okay? To Kingfisher ko they've got this Caribbean music, right? So that the moment you hear that sound, you know it's Kingfisher beer, okay? Right? त्यस्तै sloganमा भन्दा नि packaging, tagline. For example, tagline ma what is the tagline for Mountain Dew? डर के आगे जीते. So basically, your success is ahead of that fear. Getting over fear, you know you'll get your success. Something of that in mind, right? So, color, the color of what comes to mind when the moments I say color. When you see a certain color, it reminds you of a brand. This is such amazing. Okay? Every time I have this presentation, every time I say color, everybody says Encel. Okay? It's the kind of impact they've had. So the whole idea is you can choose one of these. What do you want to brand? You can choose a tagline and use that as a branding tool. You can take up a jingle or a sound and you want to have a very unique sound and promote it so much so that everybody, the moment they hear that sound, they remember your company. Or like what Nayana is saying, the color purple. It just reminds you of Encel. And when I say color, she is already thinking purple color and Encel. Okay? That's the kind of impact they've had so far. Okay? It doesn't, koile missai hudaina. Every time I say color, Encel auncha. They've invested a lot in that color. And now, the moment that pull that color up in a very kunai signboard, they put that up, you know it's Encel is coming in that this one. Okay? Okay, I don't want to take all those up. So these are, now the question you need to ask is, all these brand elements, is this all that there is to creating a brand? But like what Biplav was saying, brand is much more deeper than this. Now that's Jeff Bezos, he's from Amazon. And what he says is, a brand for a company is like a reputation for a person. You earn your reputation by trying to do things well. Richard Branson says, your brand name is only as good as your reputation. In your opinion, what is the logic behind this? What are they trying to say? Assurance of what? The quality. So why is he saying as good as your reputation then?
If I don't stick to what I say, no one would believe me. Once they find that I say the wrong thing.
In terms of a product or a service, what are you talking? Can you relate that to your product or service or whatever your company is doing? Can you relate that? No, I like what you said. तपाईले भन्नु एकदम करेक्ट हो हैन. What you're saying is फेरि भन्नु त just make it clear.
I'm not consistently saying that. I just
If I keep on lying.
If I lie even once, all the good things that I've done are undermined.
Undermined, or people don't trust you anymore. हैन. And how can you relate what you're saying to a company, a product or a service?
yield as much as any other brand, right?
or it does not yield as what you've promised, then what happens?
That hamper our reputation.
And this is the critical thing about brands. Okay? When you look at people talking about brands, you start thinking brand भनेको एउटा, it's just like it's like the product itself or the service you give. But actually, building a brand really is about, since you guys are the main founders of your company, what happens is over a duration of long, just like I come from a background of retail. And my grandfather was in the my grandfather started this retail outlet, and we're like almost 4 generations into the retail outlet. Now, the brand outlet that we have has a certain name to it. But if I go to the market and say, talk about my grandfather's name, or talk about my dad's elder brother's name, or my dad's name, no one recognizes them. Okay? What happens is, whatever your name is diluted by the bigger company brand name. But in the process, what happens is, whatever company, what is the name of your company? What is the name of your company? R&D. That cannot be the name of the company. Okay, you've not thought of a name, fine. No problem with that. But my point is, whatever your company you create, what happens is, a part of your personality or a part of what you believe, your value systems get transferred to that company. How? Because the moment the two of you start working in a company, you start saying, this is how the company should be directed, this is our strategy, I think we should do this. You will probably say, we should not lie about these data. If these data are wrong, we should not do it. Ultimately, what happens is, that company starts taking a shape of you guys, the two of you. Now, if your values match, if your frequency match, your values, the things that you believe in, starts formulating the company. And the people working for that company starts understanding how this company works. Now, it's like a small baby is born, and along the way, the number of days that you do work, and the more you interact with that company, the more work you do to build that company, the company takes a shape of its own. Okay? And the essence of branding really is to inculcate human values into your company, not just a product, not just a service. Apple is not just about a product. It's about that rebellion. It's about standing apart from the rest of the crowd. It's that attitude that Apple has leveraged into. Okay? And you understand when I say this, right? Apple sells because they've got this offbeat image about themselves. They're not like mainstream. They're like a little different. Even their tagline says, think different, right? So the whole idea about branding is because they talk about, the reason they talk about reputation, or the one ahead says, you go ahead, Ferry. The other says, is like a reputation for a person, is because end of the day, your company is ultimately becomes like who the owner is. If you look at the company version, it has his personality, all over that company. So, if you start thinking that branding is about product banaune, service dine, and there's no depth to it, it's not going to last long. The moment you just think about profit, the moment you start just thinking about, how do I get mileage, it's not going to happen. That's why building great companies takes generations. That's why it takes, hundreds of years for big companies to have sustained themselves. And the essence of a good brand is making sure that the company has all these intrinsic human values that can be, transported, or, that can transcend time. Like, for example, I'll make this very short because I don't want to go into depth with this. Simple thing like honesty. Like in agriculture, and because you work with farmers, your honesty is going to be very critical. Because like what you said, if the information you give is not true, is not correct, your farmers will not be able to trust you. Now, if that happens, then your company won't be able to last for too long. Now, what you have to realize is honesty is a value. You take it into any time factor. You take it 100 years before, it's a strong human value. You take it 100 years forward, no matter what technology comes, no matter what kind of Facebook comes, it'll still hold true. Would I be correct in assuming that? You take it to any geography. You take it to Australia, you take it to the Middle East, you take it to America, it will still stand true, correct? If you take it through any religion, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, honesty is such a basic human value that it will stand true. Now, What you have to understand, what you have to realize, what are the values that I want to put into my company? What kind of reputation that I want this company to be? What kind of person do I want this company to be? त्यो बुझ्नु र त्यो decide गर्नु is very critical to creating a strong brand name. Unless you're able to decide these are the values this company will stand for, these are the things I believe will make this company strong, you are just going to be selling a commodity, end of the day, full stop. Now that has to be, you have to decide what is it that I'm going to make. Okay? No. Brands are like people. This is the thing, okay? Brands are like people. They are either genuine, trustworthy, naturally attractive, or they're shady, pushy, and just trying to make a buck. Okay? And this is what differentiates a great brand and a company that just wants to stand to make a money. Okay? What do you want to do? Okay? And building a brand, trust me, is not overnight. Okay? The one thing that the whole brand depends on is trust. Okay? So you started with that saying, trust. Okay? It's all about, I can walk away from this presentation right now and not go on further. If you really know, it's about creating a trust. Okay? If you believe branding is about creating a trust, I don't need to go any further. Okay? I don't need to go any further. Because no matter what you do, all these logos, first logo that we talked about, you know what these logos are? This says that every time I go into KFC, I can trust KFC to give me that same quality of food. I can trust KFC to get that same ambience. You know why KFC is famous? Because even if an American travel comes here to Nepal, they see a KFC, they know what to expect. There's a trust factor. Yes, I can trust KFC to give me that same food, that same experience that I can get back home, right? The moment you see a company like, say, Audi, it says, this means class. I can trust Audi, any car they make, to give me that class. Okay? And you decide for yourself what all of these brands do. Okay? At the end of the day, what a brand comes down to is this one word. Okay? Nothing else. Brand is equal to trust, full stop, as per my understanding so far. Right? And this is completely my understanding so far. Nothing else. Bottom line is trust. Now the only question is, how do you build that trust, and how do you portray that trust to your consumers? How do you tell your farmers you can trust us? That is the key thing. Okay? It all comes down to you can trust us. Why does Apple sell more? They can sell more at a higher premium because they'll tell their customers what? You can trust Apple to make any product that I make is going to be cool. And I'm going to make it expensive and make it look like only few people are holding it, but in reality, they're outselling Samsung in terms of volume. Raw. What is true in today's world? What is very true in today's IT world, Facebook world, Instagram, and all these world is you. Okay? A brand is no longer what we tell the consumer what it is. It is what the consumers tell each other what it is. This is essential because in Facebook's world, no matter what kind of promotion you do, what kind of advertisement you do, if I use your product and I don't like it, there are 1,000 avenues I can go online and say, R&D is a crappy business, please don't buy from them. They've cheated me out of this, so please don't buy. Isn't that true? But reverse that, I use your product, I like what you're selling, I'll go online and say, Nayana, you should buy this, this is good. These guys are like genuine, man. And I'll share you my personal experience why this is very important. Okay? So 2008, I was traveling alone to Vietnam. I was studying in the Philippines and I was traveling alone from Philippines to Vietnam. So I actually booked my whole trip through what's that? Lonely Planet, not Lonely Planet. What is that? Or online, all these booking. So take one of these, it might just be Lonely Planet, okay, for all that matters. So I booked my hotel and all these things to Lonely Planet website. I booked my hotel, I went to that place. So imagine Vietnam, I'm going there for the first time. I hardly speak Vietnamese. So I go there, I'm staying there for 1 week. And at the very end, last day, there was a debate between me and the hotel owner. Okay? So the whole thing was, I calculated my stay as 5 nights, 6 days, whereas he calculated it as 6 days, 7 nights. There was a big debate. And like this, look at my booking. It's very clear that it's 5 nights, 6 days. So, but the guy at the counter was like, no, this is 6 nights, 7 days. So you have to pay for the 6 nights, 7 days. I stood my ground for like some time. Then the owner came in. The moment the owner came in, He agreed with me and allowed me to pay 5 nights, 6 days, and I walked out. Now, looking back, the only thing that I realized why that owner allowed me, because this is Vietnam, I could have easily said, he could have easily stuck to the fact that it's 6 days, 7 nights, and I would have no choice but to pay because I couldn't speak the language. I might as well have been behind the bars. But looking back, I've always realized the power of your Lonely Planet and all these websites like Uber nowadays. What it does is it passes the power of telling something what it is from the businesses to the consumers. You cannot just screw around with the consumer anymore. You have to be very careful. What, in my opinion, what the hotel owner realized is, if he makes me pay that 6 nights, 7 days, I can easily go back to the website and screw that hotel, like saying, they ripped me off of this money, they did this, all that, and the kind of reviews I can start getting on that. And remember, you know what the most powerful tool in Facebook is? Make a wild guess. Why Facebook is so famous as it is today? The like button. It's the one thing that has changed the whole bouquet. It's the like button. If you realize like button, it's just like 1 year, 2 years that they've added. Beyond this, they've added 3, 4. For the longest duration, they didn't change but that. It was the like button because like button is what, it's a promotion. There are 2 types of promotion, okay? Either organic or inorganic. Organic, I want to do fast, that's why I'll just skip. Organic one, it's just like, inorganic is when I advertise. I go to media, I come up with Kantipur front page, full page saying, please buy my product. So that's like, the whole mass, everyone in Kathmandu knows there is this product that everyone wants to buy or not, I don't know. But organic is, I tell Naina, you should buy their product, man, it's really good. You said, if Dipesh is saying it, probably is good. She'll go and buy it. She'll pass it on to her. You'll pass it on to him. Then what happens? It's an organic. Okay? It takes a long time to build, but the moment that happens, your business is set. Okay? Because your reputation is intact. This is such a powerful tool because त्योबाट भएपछि तपाईको बिजनेसको जुन ब्रान्ड छ, that brand stays intact. Is it clear to you? So अहिलेको जमानामा तपाईको what you have to look for is what kind of reputation you want to build. You can do the biggest of advertisement and hope your consumers come to you, but just because they come doesn't mean they might like your product, might not like your product. But moment there's a reference from one of your friends, there is a higher chance that your product will actually sell or your business will stand a good fight. I know. Let me see what else is there. I don't want to cover this. So I've actually covered this part saying, I've actually covered this. Oh, I think I'll skip. We've got 30 minutes more, Anta. Yeah, okay. Now, your brand ko chahi ni, building a strong brand depends on 2 things, rational benefit and emotional benefit. Now, rational benefit bhaneko ke bhandakeri, what is the utility of that product? How much I can use it? For example, toothpaste. I know. Colgate. Toothpaste the rational benefit of a toothpaste is that it gives you clean tooth. But what would be an emotional benefit? What in your opinion is a emotional benefit? Emotional is when you start using Colgate so many more times that the only toothpaste you want to use is Colgate. Okay? You don't want to buy any other product but Colgate. Okay? That is emotional. Now you're emotionally attached to that product. Okay? I'll skip again. What happens is you duta is not the same. The reason I build this pyramid is because rational benefit is what creates a brand. Rational benefit is the base. Emotional benefit is what builds a brand. Any company can provide rational benefit, which is what this is what Naina was telling me. Your biggest challenge, what I've come to understand, is you create a product, you bring it to the market, any Tom, Dick and Harry can copy your product and sell it to the market. The challenge for you guys is how do you create that emotional benefit? so that in terms of extra pricing or whatever competition there is in the market, your customers are loyal to you. Am I being clear? Because again, I go back to my slide. This, okay? The moment your customers can trust you, they'll not go anywhere. Okay? They will not go anywhere. That's the main key here. The question is, तपाईहरुले how do you create that trust? Keep that trust intact day in, day out. How do you assure them consistently over के भन्नुभएको थियो? I really like what you said. Assurance अनि के अरे? Consistently assure them. The question is त्यो, okay? Because that builds what? You. If when you consistently assure them, what happens is they build that trust. That's when that's when no matter what there is in the market in terms of giving rational benefit, your customers will stick with you. Okay? यसमा पनि कस्तो छ भने, since rational benefit everyone can provide, in my opinion, and there is no science to this, rational benefit is just 2/3 of it. Okay? Maximum is emotional benefit. The more you're able to do on this, the more attachment they have, the more they do. Now, the only thing the thing that I want to push is, now the question is, the challenge for you right now, you know what? You know where you are right now? Where are you in terms of rational benefit or emotional benefit? Is your product in the market right now? Huh? It's not in the market right now. So, how do you think your customers are going to come from here to here? Or what is it they're going to actually तपाईको यहाँ छैन? What I'm saying is, what happens is, products ma, what happens is, you have a product in the market, the more uses तपाईको consumers are here right now, your consumers, whoever your target market is here. They're somewhere in this market, they're all over this place. हैन? The challenge for you is के भन्दाखेरि, how do you bring your consumers that have not tried your product to try your product? It's just a toothpaste right now. How do you get your people to start using your toothpaste? And if you're making a toothpaste, the question is, how do you get people to start using your product? So you can do advertisement, lot of advertisement. You can, billions of dollars in budget, millions of dollars in terms of budget, in terms of rational benefit create गर्न, okay? For them to start using your toothpaste. In your case, this is a completely new product. So no one knows यसको rational benefit के हो, okay? Emotional benefit for you is very far away right now. Very far away for you tonight. The question right now is, how do you get your farmers to start using your product? And then इसको the फाइदा चाहिँ, there's some benefit I'm getting out of this. What you have to remember is, the more these interactions happen between a consumer and your product, the more they realize, yes, there's a benefit to me. My teeth are cleaner, or this is helping me in terms of increasing my productivity, or market information is helping. The more interactions that happen over 2-3 years, जति तरह interaction, then probably over the course of 2 years, one will jump into an emotional, 2 will jump into your emotional, 3 will jump into. That's creating your trend. It's how you build this system in the long run. That is when your brand is built. Okay? That is the whole key to it. Okay? You cannot just think more emotional focus गर्छु भनेर हुन्न के. Your product has to be amazing. Now, another thing I have to say is, market मा rational benefit किन तल भन्दाखेरि, तपाईहरुको जुन product, anyone can copy it, anyone can make it. It's a commodity right there. That is why a toothpaste without any branding is a commodity. Anyone can make it. The question is, maybe you add something, maybe there's free things that you throw in there, are some faida that other companies cannot provide, or I don't know how you do it in terms of product. The more तपाईको rational benefit फाइदा हुन्छ, over the case of when your 500 farmers start using it, maybe 10 in the course of 2 years will become your loyal customers. The challenge is what you said right now. Consistently assuring them of your product will build that trust, and once that trust is established, emotional benefit हुन थाल्छ. And that's when you become a strong brand. For me, I don't want to use anything else but Apple. I'm sold on Apple. I don't care big deals, that happens. Isn't that true? Isn't that true for many Apple users? I've come to realize a lot of, you know what? I've actually heard the main Samsung guy in Nepal who sells the Max number Samsung guy. He saw me with an iPhone and he's like, you guys with Apple phone, there's no way I can talk to you. I know you guys are not going to shift to a Samsung, so you didn't want to even try to convince me to buy a Samsung. Okay? That's the kind of thing that happens once you have that emotional benefit, right? Now, this is very important actually. Oh, I've got 15 minutes, but let me cut it short. Okay? But I still want to put that question up to you. What do you think is the difference between brand image and brand identity? Wild guess.
Brand image is like Apple selling a good quality product. Brand identity is if Apple sells something else.
No, okay, I'll just cut it short. Okay, Munata, I kind of feel embarrassed doing this, but looking at me, what do you think my personality is? See, I usually put somewhere else, mala laaj like this, but even then I'm making myself the, yeah, please go ahead. What do you think my personality is? No, seriously, you don't need to, but I thought I know more last. But what do you think my personality is? Yeah, please, Naina, you as well, please jump in. Since I've got 4 people, I might as well make use of all 4 of you. And even the guy behind the camera. How's it?
Confidence.
Okay.
And
Smart, okay. I wish I was giving you some points for this, but I'm not. Okay, Aru. Cheerful, okay, Aru. But in terms of the clothes I wear, what kind of image? If I didn't speak to you, if you just look at my clothes, what is the image that I'm trying to portray? Look at the products I'm using. Look at my you dress up. Why not? Even the hair I'm doing, the slick hair that I'm doing. What is the kind of image that I'm trying to portray to you? That sounds, okay, I'll take it. Okay, Aru, I'm an expensive person, okay. What else? Maybe a manager. Okay, look, this is the thing. Image भनेको के भन्दाखेरि, what you see at me, तपाईले the moment you assume so many things about me, okay? That is the image that you see. But identity भनेको के भन्दाखेरि, this is what I want to portray, okay. When I dress up in a certain way, when I talk in a certain way, when I look at, when I make a presentation in a certain way, I'm to say, my whole idea is that this is me, I'm trying to show all to you. Now, the question is it always true that मैले जुन देखाउन खोजिरहेछ is exactly what you'll see? What do you think? No. And that is the biggest challenge for creating a brand. You'll have the best intention of how do you want to build a strong brand. You'll have the best ideas, the best marketing strategies, the best promotion strategies. You'll have the best CEO out there. But if your customers do not see you like you want them to see you, there'll be a huge gap of confidence. That trust can never be built. Any examples that you can think of when that happens? For me, Prachanda is the best example that I can ever take. He wants to create that. At least bother, but then he wants to create that image of grandiose. He's like the ultimate, like Chairman Mao. He can, take Nepal from one point to the other. But the moment he started working, the image that is created in the local people is of someone else completely together. There's a huge gap. And what happens? The moment that happens, your brand takes a hit. Your brand takes a hit. That trust that you're trying to build can never be done. Which is why, I talk to people, I said, do you know who you are first? Do you know what you want to talk about? What do you want to do in life? Unless you are sure about yourself, you cannot create a company that has sustainable long-term values. The questions that you have to ask yourself is, what am I as a person? What do I stand for first? Two question, the moment you answer those, then the answer for your company and for what the company should do and the kind of image you want to create and what identity you want to build, what image will portray will be very clear. Lot of businesses suffer. Lot of, lot of shady companies, what they'll do. How many have watched that movie, The Wolf of Wall Street and all that? Okay, the Wolf of Wall Street, and so you can create that. Look what Leonardo DiCaprio does in that movie is create the image of an amazing big company. Okay? He creates that image and people buy that image. But it's not that. Okay? Identity is very kokro. Okay? They don't have. They're like just there to rip the money. They're doing all these shady deals to build that company. Okay? The image is grandiose. It can be the other way. I can dress up very smartly and I have nothing between my ears. I can convey that confidence and bholi I can sell you for that short run. Okay? But in the long run, I'll not last for too long. Okay? Unless I've got that certain strength of what my belief is, what I'm talking about, I cannot bullshit through life. Okay? I cannot bullshit through life. The truth is, you cannot bullshit through your businesses as well. Okay? Your consumers, your customers ultimately catch up with you. Okay? If your values and identities are screwed up. Okay? If you don't have the right intentions, people will ultimately catch up with you. So no matter jattike you wear a tie, you wear the most expensive gadgets, you carry the most expensive gadget, doesn't matter. Okay? That alignment of your values, of what that company should do and of what your product you're selling, and that being portrayed to your farmers is the main thing. Okay? I've connected brand equity to net worth, but the question that, just look at the question here. It says connection between brand and equity. Now brand, we're still discussion. The equity, do you guys are clear what equity is? Rajiv. Rajiv, do you know what equity is? Equity in short is, equity in short is stockholders ownership position. What your stake in the company is, ownership in the company, what your share in the company is stockholders ownership. The question I'm going to put is brand or equity. What happens when you focus on building a strong brand? And suppose your brand does become strong. What happens to your stake in the company? Tapaiko brand is strong, then what happens to the share of your company without having to do anything? So basically, successfully managing a brand translates into increased performance of a business. Why? Because it will increase your market share. Why? Because you've got loyal customers, you've got repeat customers, and retaining a repeat customer is much more easier than buying or getting a new one. Okay? You can charge a higher price for the same product. For a commodity where you have to compete with price, you can charge a premium. Okay? If you have a stronger brand. One is if something is selling for say $1, if there is a price, if you are a brand, you can say, look, for my product, I'm going to charge $1.10. Okay? You have that 10% premium over the market, over a commodity. And that is, that directly translates into increased performance of a business. Higher barrier to entry. Simple thing. When Coke and Pepsi, they build such a strong brand, what happens is, no other company can actually enter that market in terms of promotion, in terms of getting that network, the distribution, no one can penetrate that. Now you can, then if you've got a good product, you can actually go into other product segment. From your, I don't know, from broccoli, maybe you can go to potatoes, for all that matters. This is, if you're an IPO, then it'll improve your stock prices. Now basically what happens is, brand ma focus garda, your net worth increases. Okay? This is something is very true to me. So I'll just focus. Look, business garda heri, there's a work way, operational way of increasing your net worth, where you focus on the operations, the things you do to increase the net worth. Net worth is again what equity in the companies, what your share in the company is your net worth. So when you focus on the operations, it can increase, or you do strategic thing that can increase it. Now what I'm saying is, brand management is the only tool in business that touches both operational and strategic. No other. Don't say marketing is operational, it's more strategic. It's trying to create brand management. The moment you do a good brand management, you've got loyal customers, you can charge high price premium. What that does is sales increases. The moment sales increases, automatically translates to what? Increased profit. That translation is retained earning. Your retained earning increases, which is a portion in balance sheet. What that does is net worth increases. Net worth is what your stake in the company automatically increases. This is पैसा सामान बेचेर you sell your product, whatever you sell, your sales increase, profit increase, तपाईको equity बढ्छ. Now, without even doing that, look at this, without even doing that, if I said brand is trust, if the trust in your brand increases, what happens is stock price increases. How? In your case, you know that you want venture capitalists, you want other people to fund you. The moment these people see, okay, these guys are like loyal customers, they've got like so many loyal customers, they are able to charge a premium, there's like a higher barrier into this company, people wanting to buy your company will be willing to pay a premium. Okay, now, isn't that what your whole objective is? If you build that app, if you build that certain, what does Facebook for the nth number of years were making a loss. In spite of that, they were being valued at $100 billion. Why? Operation they were screwed up. They didn't have a chance in the operation. They were making a loss. Their profit doesn't, forget to increase. They were making a loss in terms of Facebook. You guys know this, right? So Facebook was not making a profit for 7-8 years. But then their valuation was what? They kept on increasing. Because people could see that, investors could see that the trust in Facebook is increasing exponentially. There were almost like 500 million users way back in 2010, 11 or whatever. 1 billion was reached, I don't know, 13, 14 ma. Now, 2 billion consumers are here. Even there, their profit is not proportional to what their valuation is. Why? Because investors saw that the trust in Facebook is very high. Bholi kahi na kahi bata ta paisa kamaihalcha ni. We can monetize this in the long run. So forget the operation. Don't look at the sales. The very classical, the Mandina, you could say classical or conventional method of looking at business is increase your sales, increase profit, increase your sales. But a strategic way of looking at it is, तपाईको increase your consumer base, which in case of IT is all about that. Increase the number of people coming into your platform, into your app, so that the customer base is so much. And more critical, the beauty of brand is this. Okay? Brand acts as a तपाईको insurance or that shock absorber. तपाईको गाडीमा you've got that wheels and beside the chassis of the car, you've got these shock absorbers that takes the hit. Okay? I'll give you an example. What happens is, suppose R&D. Now, here's the thing. You cannot always assume that R&D will come up with a new or innovative product. Okay, now, in spite of the best effort, in spite of all that you invest, I know what happens is your product or services might not achieve what you hope to achieve through R&D. But what a brand does is, suppose you come up with a product that is not good, your consumers try these products, I know. What they'll say is, look, I've used this product before. For example, Colgate. Suppose Colgate comes up with a lemon green toothpaste. For the they come up with a lemon green toothpaste. You consumers use it. They're like, oh, this is like crappy. Or I'm not going to use this anymore. They drop that product, right? What happens is the moment that happens, sales घट्नु पर्ने हो, profit घट्नु पर्ने हो, R&D budget should have come down, which means a negative. This is not usually what happens. Okay? Once you've got a base of loyal customers, they will be willing to give you a second try. They will be willing to give you that chance. Ki, okay, lemon green didn't work out. Maybe the next time they come up, they'll come up with a good product. Okay? I can relate this with my own example. Okay? Kina, why are you smiling? Okay, tell me about iPhone.
iPhone 4S.
Yes, the antenna gate, right? So please explain that example further.
The same thing. They thought they innovated something else, but that went down.
So exactly, iPhone. What happened in? Are you guys aware what iPhone 4 ma what happened? Okay, so basically this is an iPhone. I know. iPhone 4 ma what they did is, instead of having an antenna, I don't know, basically they made this whole thing an antenna, okay, so that the coverage is, the reception is better, right? But that flopped miserably. That flopped so miserably ki they had to scrap that product or something like that, I know. But did the sales of Apple phone go down?
It did not go down.
because of this. Okay? Because consumers knew ki okay, Apple screwed up, a big deal. We'll wait for them to come up with a new product. Because I know what Apple is. Okay? If people are able to trust you again, if people are able to trust you, you trust someone, you're willing to give that person a chance again. Okay? Which is why I saying, which is why I've been harping about creating a strong value-based company. Okay? With your intention or your values very clear, why you're doing this. Okay? And people, once they like what you're selling, tapaiko values, they like what you're telling them, what they'll say is, fine, no problem. We're willing to give you another chance. Your trust, if it's strong, they will be willing to give you a second chance. There will not be too many issues in terms of that. And like what you're saying, antenna gate. In my case, my example was forget it. I mean, that's a good example. We're done with 6:30, by the way. So finally. So this is the positive feedback that I was talking in terms of brand. Finally, what you have to remember is products are created in the factory, but brands are made in the mind. Because product manufacturing is a commodity now. Whatever you're making, anyone else can make. Be it an app, be it a product. Anyone can make. The products I make here in Nepal, you can go to China and get it at a fraction of a cost. Whatever apps you're making here, that can be done by anyone with more features. Okay? The question only is, how do you build that brand in the mind? How do you build that trust? So that in spite of whatever there is in the market, like an Apple iPhone, people will come back and want to buy with you. Okay? Or that impression is strong in their head about what you sell and what your company is all about. Okay? So these are my references for these for this presentation. That's it. Was it so boring?
So Lazulji, Kiranji, do you have any questions for?
Thank you so much, Dipesh.
It was my pleasure, Azur Hazin. Thank you so much.
I don't have question answers, but just to give you a little background on the things that we normally do among all our participants is that we provide information service as our commodity. Right? We provide information services as our primary commodity, and we try to create values that prosperity base that we serve through different. But one of the most important part is the delivery mechanism that we play forward to make that happen, to make build trustworthiness. Could you just give like few examples on these kind of information service provider that are able to create values and trustworthiness, so that we can really relate with whatever that we've been trying to do?
No, I think my whole objective was presenting that case, Café de Colombia, because if you look through that case, it's actually an agricultural product. And what they've done is differentiate Colombian coffee from the rest of the world. I mean, if you look at that tagline, okay, because the tagline says the richest coffee in the world. Now, when you play with such taglines, how do you compare? Like, if I'm a competitor of Colombian coffee, I cannot come up with another tagline that says the richer than richest coffee in the world. You've already taken a stake at the highest premium of in terms of coffee. Why not? Now, so which is why I thought taking a commodity like a coffee and then creating that differentiating factor in terms of the tagline, the kind of promotions they do, and the kind of that case is so interesting, Rajanji, because I wish you'd done that case. किनभने तपाईहरुको value chain र त्यो case को value chain would have been more or less the same. 5 minutes just to explain. I really don't have an example, just to get very very clear. I don't have an example in quality जुन तपाईले delivery information को भन्नु, nothing is coming to my mind right now. But the case ma, I just want to take 2 minutes of your time. What you'll realize when you read that case is that there are like thousands of farmers, value chain ma, tens of thousands of farmers at the farmer end, right now, who are supplying coffee. And these are taken up by the middlemen, like brokers. And it's The broker's only intention is to buy it at the cheapest price possible, the coffee. Now, that is now again passed on to the roasters, traders, sorry. There are these traders who import these coffee beans into their respective countries. Now, but by volume, the whole market is dictated by volume. There are only 4 roasters that control 60-65% of the market. The majority of the market is controlled by 4 roasters. Now, those roasters then go on to the retail end. Retail end ma 75% of the retail sales is controlled by again 4 to 5 retailers. So what that does is तपाईको supply and demand ma, when there are only limited buyers of your product, you can command what price you want to buy it at. So the farmers were getting ripped the case ma, because they could not dictate what prices they want to sell. Whereas the end retailers, the consumers were paying a premium, the farmers were having to sell it at a commodity price. Kina Colombia is making coffee, Ethiopia is making coffee, then you've got new players like Vietnam, then say Nepal even trying to sell coffee. Supply board, okay? Everyone's trying to sell coffee to the traders. There are only 4 suppliers, 4 suppliers or 4 buyers of a coffee. Now, what Colombia as an organization does is they come together, but they create an advertising campaign, okay, targeting at the end consumers. Those who drinking the coffee, unala target garera, they make these campaigns. Okay? So what these end consumers start doing is they start asking all these 4 retailers that yes, we want Colombian coffee. Okay? Now the whole game is changed. Okay? It's not about the roaster's choice anymore. Okay? The roasters now have to listen to the consumers. Okay? They are dictated by the consumers. Now the consumers start saying, I want Colombian coffee. So they are forced to buy Colombian coffee, and which is now being sold at a premium. Okay? And that is the beauty of how do you make a commodity into a premium. Brand कसरी गर्ने के? That is why that case was, I think, very relevant to तपाईँहरुको context right now. Okay?
Surely, I'll go through it.
हुन्छ Rajanji, that'll be great. Yeah. Kiranji, anything questions? Any other questions?
First of all, I would like to thank for that great presentation. And I would like to ask a question on what about the inelastic commodity?
Inelastic demand भन्नुभयो? Inelastic demand.
Inelastic demand.
Yeah. Okay. So can I use that board? Yeah. No, then how do I do it? So basically, inelastic demand. This is true for the agriculture product. Okay? Now, you saw that graph that says demand and supply ko graph. So what inelastic demand does is it's like this. Okay? This is supply, right? This is supply. This is demand ko curve. This is demand. This is supply. Can this show this? Yeah. Okay. Okay. It देखिन्छ अरे? Okay. I'll just try to make it more. So this is तपाईको demand को curve भयो, which is more straight. Generally तपाईको free market मा कस्तो हुन्छ भने it's like this. So there's a supply, this is demand. So E1 हुन्छ तपाईको. This is the equilibrium of the market. This is curved. Okay? What happens in an inelastic demand is your demand curve is very straight. The reason being this. Now this is the equilibrium 1. This is the current market position. What happens in an inelastic, which is very true for a commodity agriculture products. So E1 right now is being supplied at Q1. And the price is P1. Generally के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि when there's a drop your P1 Q1 र P1, generally what happens is when there is a supply increase and moves to Q2, there is a proportional drop in P2. Proportional, I am talking proportional. So यो जति बढ्यो त्यति नै त्यही proportion मा this price will come down. But what happens in an inelastic demand when your curve is like this, what happens is for any slight increase, even a slight increase in your supply, this much increase in your supply, this is Q1, this is Q2. This is just a slight increase if you see this. The drop in price, I'm trying to exaggerate because this is not the best curve that I could make. But what I'm trying to do is, for even a slight increase in your quantity, there's a larger drop in your price, okay? P2. So P1 is much greater than your P2 compared to Q2 is slightly higher than a Q1. Only kati when your supply increases, the price drop is very high, okay? And that is what happens in a agricultural product. So you have to be very careful ki when there's inelastic demand. Coffee is classic inelastic demand. Okay? For even a slight increase in your supply, the price drop is very large. Okay? So when you say, when you talk about tobacco, say for example broccoli, the supply of your broccoli increases. Suppose you guys are successful in increasing the yield of that product. If the price drops exponentially, your farmers will be very wary to start using your app again. Just on the top of my mind. Okay? So you have to be careful, okay, what you're doing. Why not? So this is what inelastic demand is. Kiranji, does that make it clear for you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Were you guys talk about that? No, wasn't it? All right. So it was an honor to be amongst you all. I really enjoyed myself. I've got so much to share in terms of brand, but I think brand is the main thing that you need to look, because if you start competing on prices and start doing a price war, there's no end to how much time you need to give, how much energy you need to expend just to keep being in business, because you still have to, every penny you have to start saving. The moment you start thinking in terms of brand and increasing your pricing and having to manage all these micro things, go down a little bit. Okay? The whole idea is, how do you create that premium? How do you make your consumers trust you? Okay? The whole key. Again, can I use this for the last? Like I said in the very first time when I started, I would have ended my presentation here. If you believe this, okay? This is it. I don't need to go any further. If you know this is it. Okay? Like I said, brand is equal to trust, nothing else. Okay? Nothing else. Forget all the jingles, forget all the colors, forget everything else. The moment you're able to do this, in terms of increasing your brand is done. Nothing else. Tara, again, that is my own understanding what brand is. I'm sure all of you will have, and I hope you guys have a success going forward. Thanks.
So thank you so much, Dipesh, for
Wow.
coming.